got my triggers, Eccentrik hat here. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Holidays, delete where applicable. Hello and welcome to a very special episode of MRAdio, a Christmas episode where we have more guests than we've ever had before. We're very happy to let you all meet them, so sit back, relax, get a drink and enjoy a festive and fun chat for the holidays.
You forgot one, Eccentrik hat.
What did I forget?
You forgot to say Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yeah, for those of you who'd forgotten about COVID for the past 4 seconds, COVID's still happening. We're all gonna die. So let's go around the room and introduce ourselves. Philip and Liz, you don't get to do because we already know who you guys are. So shall we start with Stephen?
Yeah. Well, Stephen Fitzgerald. My organisation is Men and Women Working Together. And obviously next year we hope with your support as well, we're all working together, that we'll make an impact in Parliament, because that's what it's all about. We won't get anything done without getting into there. It's pity Sally's not with us tonight at the moment, because she sat in on my Zoom meeting I had with my MP the other day, and that came out very well. But I sent you around all the information, so you're okay with it. And obviously later on tonight I'm going to start delivering presents as well, not tomorrow, you know.
Yes, there was a couple of guests who sadly couldn't make it, but did pass on their well wishes, including Sally Ann, Beth Elise on Twitter, and Dr. Vandermerka.
Yeah, actually, I'd just like to point out, so Stephen, your website, correct me if I'm wrong, is www.mwwt.
Yeah.
Dot.
Yeah. org.uk.
Org.uk, yes, I was a bit unsure on that one, but what you have on there is different resources for people to sort of email their MPs,
yeah,
to get conversations started about men's issues. Yes. And I would definitely recommend that anyone who wants to do something next year to help go and check that website out and get involved.
Yeah,
absolutely. Men and Women Working Together is a fantastic organisation. It's exactly what we need right now.
Yeah.
And Stephen deserves all the love and support you can give him. So make sure to check out his website.
Thank you. Well, the idea of it is, and we discussed it with my MP, he said, get as many people in the country lined up with their MPs as possible, because he said that is the way you'll do it. So I've got a thing going out straight after Christmas, exhorting people that's going on the website. Please join us. There's some serious stuff to be dealt with. This hate crime is the worst thing I've ever seen for years. I'll tell you that. I've been doing this about 20 years off and on, and that is the worst thing I've seen. If they get that through.
No politics tonight. It's Christmas.
I know, but that's the worst thing there is. So.
Is that the Scottish one you're referring to?
What's that?
The Scottish misogyny hate crime law. Is that the one you're referring to?
No, the British one, British and Scottish. I mean, the British one is inspired by the Scottish. But no politics tonight. No politics tonight.
I want to point out that English hate is far better than Scottish hate.
No, Scottish hate is better. No,
we haven't learned how to hate people properly.
Our hate is. The Scottish hate is superior, and if you mix that with German hate, German and Scottish hate, that's the best.
Don't get political.
English hate takes too long. You know, it has to be on a slow boil for like 40 years before it goes anywhere. Scottish hate, you know, it explodes fast and fades quickly, but at least you see it.
So with a bit of luck, Sturgeon will get their independence soon, won't she?
No.
Why is that? Why is that lucky? Why are you throwing us on the scrap heap?
Could we please continue in introducing people and not talking about politics? David Eggins, unmute yourself and tell us who you are.
I've got a cold just at the moment, if you forgive me.
Mike Buchanan actually left because of how
Christmas
disgusted
spirit.
he was.
As the head of, you see, as the head of Justice for Men and Boys political party, he doesn't like to talk about politics.
Well, that's why he fobbed it off to the woman, because of how much he doesn't like it. Anyway, Judith, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Hello people. My name is Judith. I'm mostly active on Twitter, a bit on YouTube too, and I like to complain about feminism, point at all the flaws and all the mistake that they do, and also talk about how often there's too much hatred for men and they push it a lot. So if you want to hear a woman complain about feminism, just check out my Twitter.
Yes, Judith has done incredibly well on Twitter, over 10,000 followers, isn't that right?
Yeah, 12.8 right now.
What's your Twitter handle?
My Twitter handle, it's at Judith _Char, CHER.
At Judith _Char. And Judith only follows, I think, 47 people.
50 right now, yeah.
50. So she follows hardly anybody, but everybody follows her. You know, I think that's the mark of a good commentator, and I'm very blessed to be one of the people who Judith does follow.
Thank you.
Judith,
that's just
SHCR was that?
CHAR.
Oh, CHAR. Sorry.
Put it in the chat. Just to
I found you and followed. There we go.
message your internet connection. Oh, right. So what's your secret of success, Judith? How do I get 14,000 followers?
For me, it's been just expressing myself. Apparently, I have a unique opinion or view about the subject, which I think makes sense for me. But I think the goal, my goal was to just tell the truth. Just look at what's happening and tell the truth as I see it. And apparently that a lot of people seems to like it, which is always nice.
Wait a second. You mean that people listen to you even though you are a woman and even though you're not undressing yourself?
Exactly. I never had to show my boobs to anyone.
Wait a minute,
wonderful?
you don't undress
Until
yourself.
tonight.
Unfollow.
No.
Until tonight.
Unfollow it. Look at that collar, how high it is.
Can I just say that Judith is underselling herself. She actually has a fabulous writing style and says things so succinctly and beautifully. So I think everybody owes her a subscription.
Ah, thank you. You're so nice.
Who's next?
David, are you able to go?
Yeah, I'm able to go now. Sorry about the interruption before. Basically, with my working colleague Denise, we did ever work with domestic abusers, both males and females, which makes us pretty unique in the whole of Britain. And at the moment, I'm speaking to you from Germany. So we have ways of making you talk across here, and that's part of the way in which we work as well, I guess. Looking at the overall situation of lorry drivers piled up in Kent, the German view is that Macron doesn't want to upset Le Pen because she will call out all of the German unions, all of the French unions, and then Macron will have trouble on his roads again. So that's what his problems are with the British fishing rights. So sorry about the politics in that, but there's something going on with it.
David, you work with female abusers, don't you?
We do, yeah.
Like female abusers who actually want help.
Yes, that's exactly right, and that can't find it or choose not to find it from the feminist version of a female abuser, which is called, what's the name of the program called? The Pat Craven's nonsense. The
Newsround.
Think of it.
Newsround. No. Is that some other Craven?
You mean the Freedom Program?
Oh, the Freedom Program. That's right, because female abusers.
Scottish.
They've got to get free.
Scottish freedom.
Freedom. Oh yeah.
can I just say what incredible work that is to help both survivors and abusers, because something that feminists would never want you to know is that A, that women do abuse, and B, that just like men, quite a few of them who do abuse actually recognize it and want help. And for those people who want to stop a repetitious cycle of violence, we should be willing to help them. We can't deny that they exist because it's factual, it's evidence-based. It's harming so many people, including themselves. So the work that David and his colleagues are doing to address this problem in a humanitarian way and offer aid to everybody, not just survivors, but abusers as well, in order to break the cycle, that is incredible.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's also another important aspect of it is that we have to recognize most domestic abuse is not power and control. It's got nothing to do with power and control. It's about situational couple violence, which goes backwards and forwards between both people. And in the vast majority of cases, both people are both abuser and victim, just at different times.
Well, absolutely. It's it's common knowledge to us that the reciprocal violence is the most common type. But I mean, in my gender studies class this semester, we were taught that women are only violent in self-defense. So that they tend to use weapons more than men. So you might see a man slashed across his face or burned or scalded, and you might think that he's the victim, but no, she's the victim. She's simply used a weapon, but it will only have been in self-defense. And my lecturer claimed that she worked with men who were supposedly abused in order to help the Scottish government create laws, and she found that all of the men she worked with who reported that they were abused were actually the abusers. So our class was very, very clear that men don't get abused, they abuse, and that women, no matter what they do, no matter how violent they become, it will only ever be in self-defense.
Who came up with this bullshit?
Yeah, that's a piece of feminist nonsense. But the other little bit to add to it is the so-called preemptive strike. So she might think that she's going to abuse, and therefore she abuses him to prevent his abusing her. A preemptive strike. That's another little wheeze. That's right.
Absolutely, and I have no doubts that when my lecturer was saying it turned out the men were abusive, what she was discovering was reciprocal abuse. Where both parties were responsible, but in her mind, as soon as the man admits to anything, everything the woman did was justified.
Yeah, but it also depends on your definition of abuse, doesn't it? You know, and the feminists have an ever expanding definition that, you know, from where I'm sitting, includes an awful lot of behaviours that are quite normal.
Yeah, just
but I think that there are some real issues, and I think that for example, in regards to coercive control, that there are real issues and they have to be identified, but unfortunately they're not being identified on both sides, only on one side. Well, shall we go to the next person?
Yeah, absolutely. Good fella, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, no problem. I'm just a guy who does movie reviews. The reason I do movie reviews is because I know that I'm very likely to get banned if I don't do movie reviews. The way I see it, we're in a position, men, I mean, where we're not really going to win, so we might as well just laugh. You know, while we're on the downward spiral, we might as well just laugh and have fun. And that's what I do in my channel.
So when you say
what kind of movies do you talk about?
Any movie that can be related to the actual topic that I want to talk about, you know. So like for example, the next movie review I'm going to do is Little Shop of Horrors, you know. But the topic that I want to talk about is that gardening is now racist.
Can
So that's what I do in my movie reviews. I start off talking about a movie, I then go on to another subject that I really want to talk about, and then I go back to the movie review. Do you know what I mean? Like it's to mess with the YouTube algorithm, because YouTube is banning so many people that don't deserve to be banned. Some of the nicest people are getting banned. So I know that I don't have long on the platform, so I'm just having fun with it, and I'm just messing with the algorithm.
Can you just explain to me? I may be guilty of a hate crime here. I've been growing butternut squash. Can you tell me how that's sexist?
Racist. No, racist.
Oh,
racist.
No, it's racist. Oh no, it's racist because I think it's because there's like sometimes you can have a garden, right? Yeah. And you can have a certain plant that's invasive and foreign, which can destroy your other plants, and therefore that's racist. And that's where it's going. It's a guy called, hang on, just let me get his name because I don't want to get his name wrong. It's
so
a guy called,
talking about like if you get a Japanese knotweed infestation and you kill it.
Yes, he's saying it's a guy called James Wong. He works for the BBC, by the way, the BBC gardening programme, right? See, I picture gardeners as like, I mean, no offence, but older men and older women, who they're harmless. They're completely harmless, but apparently they're racist. And according to this guy, he's wrote on Twitter, he says, absolutely, UK gardening culture has racism baked into its DNA. Yeah, it's so integral. It's so integral that when you point out its existence, people assume you are against gardening, not racism. Epitomised, for example, by the fetishization, and wild misuse of words like heritage and native. So that's what we're dealing with here. I'm sorry to get political, but that's what we're dealing with here. And in order to talk about that, right? I can't make a video and say, hey, this idiot is talking about gardening being racist. I have to make a video saying I'm doing a movie review about Little Shop of Horrors, which is about a plant, which, by the way, reminds me of this guy, and then I can talk about this guy for 20 minutes and then go back to the movie review. And that's just how I do it. I'm just having fun and messing with the algorithm. That's all I'm doing. So when you see me reviewing a movie, I'm not really reviewing a movie, Can
I just say that using pop culture in order to talk about politics is very innate of Sarkisian of you. Well done.
Well, you might as well learn from the best.
Yeah, exactly. If you can't beat them, join them.
Stephen, you've got a question.
Yeah, just a very quick one from Mike. Did you find out that Minister for Men Facebook was?
No.
You didn't? Jolly good, though, isn't it?
I haven't looked in depth at it. There's a Minister for Men Facebook page, and we didn't know who it was.
Mike Bell.
I've got a question. I've got a question to Goodfellow, real quick. Can I?
Aye, sure.
Sorry. Well, first of all, I just watched Little Shop of Horrors like 2 weeks ago. It's such a classic. I absolutely love the movie. But by the way, I watched Wonder Woman Part 2 2 days ago. It's not good. Let's just say it's not good.
I imagine it's just full of 80s cliches and
It's got Trump in it. That's
the main villain. The main villain is designed after Donald Trump, and the whole and she almost exclusively helps women and girls.
What's his name? Ronald Trump?
No, something like Max Power or something stupid like that. Sounds like an 80s porn star. Okay. Elizabeth.
Hugh Janus, is it one of those? Sorry, Mike Bell, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Right. So I do kind of a couple of websites. I do the Equilaw website, which we slimmed down recently, so that it's just about what it was originally meant to be, which is just about the law. So it's just got stuff about which laws or implementation of the laws is discriminatory against men. So we can use it as like a sort of an online leaflet, so you can point to it rather than having to send all the information. And then I also run the GenderParityUK website, which has got more stuff on it, like myths and female, I call them ecologists. That is, all these wonderful women who have done some good, continue to do good stuff on our behalf. And then I also host the website for campaign for shared parenting, and maybe another one too. I seem to sort of go through them and then amalgamate some and then throw one away. That sort of things. I do that, and I also kind of act as secretary for the Gender Parity UK meetings, trying to get a little bit of order in, so we do get the agenda ahead of time and somebody writes the minutes. Yeah.
Is that why you didn't have time to get an actual party hat?
That's because I'm so
Look who's speaking. Look who's speaking. You've got nothing on.
You don't even have. I've got a.
Sorry, what? What was that? What were you saying?
I've got special homemade Christmas cake here.
Exactly.
Look, with its own Christmas tree. I think. I'm going to expose you on my website for ageist harassment.
He's Santa man.
Now the question is, Mike Buchanan is Mike seems to be dropping in and out. Is that right, Mike? Can you hear us?
I think yes or not.
No.
Shall I do an impression of Mike Buchanan?
Yes. Go.
Go on then.
Oh no, what have I done? I'm Mike Buchanan. Oh, he can hear us. Okay, I'm not doing the impression of that.
We demand the impression.
It's
Mike?
like the voice of God, isn't it? You know, the auto-tuned voice of God descended from on high to stop that.
You'll have to do the impression, Elizabeth, now.
Yeah, go ahead, Elizabeth.
I think Mike should like drop out and dial back in, but maybe with his phone.
Oh.
Here he is.
There he is. Here's the master. Say something. Oh, great Mike Buchanan.
Oh, me, okay.
Oh, wow,
I can only see my
that's
video.
Uncanny, Elizabeth. That's dead like him.
I'm only getting about 10% or 20% of the audio and even less of the video. So, yeah. So I missed Elizabeth's impression. I look forward to seeing that at some point.
Describe yourself, Mike. Tell us a bit about yourself.
So, anyone there? Oh, go on.
Tell us about yourself.
I think.
Okay, all right. Can you? I can't hear you guys, but you can hear me, okay?
Yes.
It might be better turning your video.
Okay, all right.
Better sound.
Say again.
You may be better off turning off your video so
Okay,
we can hear you more clearly.
Okay, there's only so much you can take of a fat old bloke in a turkey hat, isn't there? Is that okay?
Oh.
We can hear you.
That's
Much
probably a
better.
serious. Okay, all right. Okay, right. Okay, so I'm Mike Buchanan, an anti-feminist MRA. Those things should always go together, I think. And an occasional fantasist, it has to be said. 3 days ago, I flew over, Tom Caulfield, the technical director of Justice Men and Boys, the party that Elizabeth has led very well for the last 7 months. He flew us over, myself and one of my daughter's families, over to the south of France, over to Nice Airport specifically, in the company jet. and we're having a great time. Some Eccentrik hat. And unfortunately, I can't show you, the whole of the villa. It would take half an hour to walk around it, obviously. Now, Eccentrik hat asked earlier on, could we do our I think it was something like our favourite Christmas story. I'm not sure I have a favourite one, but I have a most memorable one, and that's when our daughters, my daughters are now in their mid-30s, so this is about 30 years ago, when they were maybe 5 and 6. The present I gave, I think this would have been my idea, not my ex-wife's. So I gave one of my daughters a wrapped-up bicycle bell at Christmas, saying that money was very, very tight, and next year we'd give her maybe a wheel, and in about 10 years' time she'd have the whole bicycle. So she said, "Thank you, Daddy," and then her lip trembled a bit, and she burst into tears. At which we then opened a suspiciously big package in the corner, which was her bike. But I've been feeling guilty about that for 30 years now. Anyway, so that's my Christmas story, and it's lovely to see a number of ICMI contributors here. And can I just say, including Mike Bell, of course, but Goodfellas, or Alex's title, we've now had about 240, maybe 250 ICMI talks over the last 5 or 6 years. And Alex's, for the last conference, was titled, his video was titled, "World to End, Women Most Effective." And I thought that was just genius, pure genius. And I could honestly listen to Alex for 5 or 10 hours a day. Everything he does is just hilarious, as far as I'm concerned.
Thanks very much, Mike.
Would you like the rest of us to bow out, Mike?
Should we get a breakout room?
Can I just say, Mike, if I were you, I would sue the pants off of the American Broadcasting Corporation, because in their show Scrubs, that exact story happens, where the child gets given a bell with the promise that over the course of years a bike will be assembled.
Is that right?
Absolutely.
Wow. I thought I'd watched every episode of Scrubs. I adore it, and Dr. Elliot, and I didn't know that.
No, that's a flashback at one point. So I would sue the pants off them. Clearly,
it could be I'm suffering from false memory syndrome, and that's where I got it from. And I shall have to ask. I shall have to ask my beloved daughter tomorrow, or later tonight.
What daughter? You don't have a daughter, Mike. You've never had a
but it's lovely, and.
You're breaking up.
I'm sorry, guys. The sound is just all. I'm getting so audio.
I would turn the camera off again.
Reminds me of a story about my daughter on a bike. Is that when my elder daughter was at the age where she should have a bike, my granny bought her a bike, and it was a really great bike. But the second daughter came along too quickly to inherit it, if you know what I mean. So we got her another bike, but very soon afterwards, she spied the bike belonging to a friend of hers, which was then for sale, and she very rapidly transitioned onto this other bike, which was far better. Anyway, she then started to tell the story in her teens that she'd been given this bicycle for Christmas and that her father had sold it before she'd had a chance to ride it. It took me some time to kind of actually stop this meme, because it was so painful. I had to go to therapy to overcome it all.
Wow.
Is it just me, or do women not lie constantly? Yeah.
Present company excluded, Judith.
Of course.
Okay, it's cool.
A kid goes to his parents and he says, "Mum, Dad, I don't want a bike for Christmas anymore." They say, "Why not? I found one behind your wardrobe."
Eccentrik Cat, what's your best Christmas memory?
Well, I mean, I've been racking my brains, because all I can think of is the bad stuff. And I don't mean that to sound like I grew up with a terrible childhood. It's just that Christmas, and it's always such a build up, but in practice, it's almost something that you have to kind of like get through as a family. Like you come together as a family and you have to tolerate each other as a family. One thing that I do remember is that when I was in first year in high school, we did a production, like a sort of like modern take on the Nativity, and I was completely wrecked by that. So much so that over Christmas Eve night into Christmas, I was just having like so many fever dreams, and pretty sure that I saw Santa sneaking into my room and going through my wardrobe and stuff like that. And one Christmas memory that does stick out to me is being maybe like 5 or 6 and coming down the stairs to go to the toilet, about 11:30 at night, and it just shows like how disorganized my parents always were, that they are busy wrapping presents, and I sort of just poke my head in quite innocently, and they're like, "Get to bed!" Because clearly I had spoiled the whole revelation. Of course, I was too naive to even put it together. Like, as far as I was concerned, like they were just wrapping presents. Like maybe for somebody else, Santa was still coming, duh. And I do remember one day coming home from school and saying to my mother, some boys were saying at school that Santa's not real, but they're lying, aren't they? Santa is real. And she was like, no.
Wow.
Is that why you're doing feminist studies, to overcome this trauma?
Yeah. I'm repressing everything about my childhood and burying myself in someone else's tragedies, in the hope that I can avoid focusing on my own.
Wow.
Can I recommend the use of this therapy? And that is, you take a present bag and you put it over your head. It helps you overcome all your childhood Christmas traumas.
I'll bear that in mind. So I don't want to give the impression that my Christmases were difficult in the slightest. As I said, it's just that the funniest stuff happens when families realize that actually spending an entire day together is a far greater challenge than they anticipated.
Stephen, what's your favorite Christmas memory?
Well, how many days in the year? 365. Well, those 2 days in the year, the only 2 days of the year, my mum and dad didn't argue and shout and scream and argue. The other days, It was bloody horrible. It got so bad. I'll give you one example because it'll make you laugh, actually. My mum had been going on all day Sunday, like, there was 8 of us kids, and we listened to this, oh mum, shut up. And then my dad had enough of it. He went downstairs to the kitchen, he came up with a pint of milk, took the top off it, held it over her head, twisted it, and covered it with a bloody bottle of milk. We all just sat there. I was reading the paper, and I just hid myself under the paper. She screamed, "You old bastard, you!" But that was what it was like in our house. But the 2 days of the year, Christmas, they used to bury the hatchet, and that was great. Really enjoyed it. So,
wow.
Perhaps if you had worn your Christmas Christmas outfit all year, you could have conned her into thinking that it was Christmas on other days.
I'm sorry, Mike. I thought you were going to sell your revolutionary Christmas hat again.
I can do, yes. You put it over her head and hold it tight.
I went to pay him a visit because when we moved down there, I used to drop in and see him, see, and he had this sort of big bruise on his head, like blood on it. I said, "What's that?" Ask your mother. Well, she was sat over in the corner, and he'd been winding her up all day. So she got a great big conch shell, and she chucked it at him, and it was a good shock. It hit him right in the bloody forehead and made it bleed like. And she was well pleased with that. But he wouldn't wash it off because he wanted everybody to know what she'd done. my two sisters, it was 6 boys, 2 girls. My 2 sisters ended up, well, one of them ended up completely balmy. It was always at the psychiatric, this, that and the other. It didn't do any good at all. And my older brother, I mean, he never wanted to talk about childhood, photographs or nothing. It affected him badly. But I got over it. But it took me to about 40, I was about 40 before I could get shot.
I have to say,
I'll be sending you one of my hats to give to your brother.
And I have to say, so far, your beautiful Christmas stories are really heartwarming and joyful. Very jolly.
Yeah, those 2 days were great.
Right, can I just point out that It's a Wonderful Life starts with a guy trying to commit suicide, all right? So there's always a silver lining.
Absolutely. Judith, what's your best Christmas memory?
I'm not sure. I have some good reminder of gifts that I like the year we got a Nintendo, me and my brother. That was pretty memorable. And or what's the other one? Oh man! But what I really liked at Christmas is when we would have all the family over, and then the next day you wake up to all the leftovers and all the candies that are there, and then it's so different in the house and the Christmas tree. So there, I think I like the morning after better than the actual Christmas.
Can I just inquire, when you said you and your brother got a Nintendo, do you mean that your brother got a Nintendo?
Because, no, we both had one Nintendo.
He got the Nintendo, she got the games.
Yeah.
What I know for a fact is that girls don't play computer games. So I'm just curious as to how you managed to convince yourself that your parents would get you a Nintendo.
It was all the craze back then. We're talking, I think it was in 1988 we got the Nintendo. So it was all the craze, and I was a kid. Me and my brother were little kids. So to have this piece of machinery was like, oh my God, that's amazing.
I'm just being a sexist pig, Judith.
Yeah, you did it well. You did it well.
You're just being yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
David Higgins, how about you? What's your favorite Christmas?
Just before you do that, I just want to say that my daughter begged and cajoled until she got her Nintendo, and she's 34 now. So,
can we just say, for legal purposes, that other consoles are available?
Yeah, but actually, can I jump in? Because actually, one of my favourite Christmas memories, which hadn't even occurred to me, and it's only from last year, but you remind me, Judith, is we got our boys a Switch, and we gave them their presents, and we held it back, and then right in the evening we swooped in and went, oh look, we just found this other present upstairs, you might as well open this, lads. And it was the Switch, and I just remember the little one looking up at me with these stars in his eyes going, I thought you would, but I thought you wouldn't. So happy.
Elizabeth, sorry, am I the only person here who hasn't a clue what you mean by the Switch?
Oh, a Nintendo. It's a computer game console.
It's Nintendo's answer to transphobia. Like, Nintendo wanted to give people a console that would allow them to change their sexuality. I remember you getting the Switch, Elizabeth, because you wrote to me to ask me advice on games, and I was very flattered. Well, because it's nice to know that literally tens of thousands of hours playing computer games was not a waste, because it all built up to this one moment. David, do you want to tell us about your favorite Christmas memory?
Yeah, my Christmases were really pretty easy, really. And all I remember as a youngster was Dandy and Beano annuals at the end of the year. But perhaps the memorable one was when I was about 14, when I heard my father swear for the very first time, believe it or not. And the circumstances were that, of course, the best crockery was brought out, and I think we were having afternoon tea. And mother poured father a cup of tea, and father was about to drink it, and the whole bloody lot just fell out of his hand, you see. To which mother, of course, turned to him and said, "You stupid idiot, you dropped the cup." To which father replied, "I'm still holding the fucking handle." Mother had glued the handle back on when it had got broken before. And of course, so that was my pleasant memory. I'm still holding the fucking handle.
Elizabeth?
Oh no, I didn't know.
I've got a few. So 3 years ago there was snow, which was fantastic, right over Christmas, and the kids got days off school because it was too dangerous for them to approach the school with all the black ice and all of that. And we made a snowman with the mohawk, and me and their dad ended up with, we had a snowball fight, but the kids took to pulling our jeans back and dropping it down our pants, so we ended up quite uncomfortable, but it was very and I've never forgotten something very special that happened 2 years ago, which was that we'd put the TV on and it was getting real late, and all of a sudden this program came on, and it was Queen live at the Hammersmith Odeon in 1973 or something like that. And it was just, it blew my mind, and it completely got me into Queen.
Wow.
So that was big. It's on YouTube. It's a great performance, and it was all broadcast for Christmas back in 73 or whenever it was. And yeah, that's added to my life immensely.
I think that's really interesting, because I actually missed the whole Queen thing. I think we were having babies or something. I just wasn't interested at all at the time. So I came to Queen, I think even after what's his face had pegged
Freddie
out
Mercury.
Freddie Mercury, and I just was blown away completely. It doesn't seem to me that anything like that had happened since the Beatles, really.
Yeah.
And I still find those films. I watched the
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, the film or whatever. And I remember kids at school singing it. It's so amazingly powerful and creative.
Oh yeah, it really is. And speaking of Bohemian Rhapsody, I suppose this year's Christmas memory for me might well be Wayne's World, because our boys have got seriously into Wayne's World and have been watching it over and over and over again.
Not a bad thing.
Well,
not at all.
Exactly. I hope they're gonna become huge Alice Cooper fans.
Me too.
I've got all of his CDs. I'm a huge Alice Cooper fan. So if you need any CDs, I have all the bootlegs. I have everything from Alice Cooper.
That's one time I felt really old. I was working in this place, and this woman had an Alice Cooper tattoo, right? And I said, "Well, what's that?" She said, "It's Alice Cooper." And another younger woman, she said, "Who's she?" And I was like, "Oh my God." And I felt really old. I was like, "Oh my God, what do you mean, who's she?" Oh,
my great nan had a great moment. We were watching, this is not Christmas related at all, but it's related to Who's She. We were watching Top of the Pops, and Hanson came on singing Bop, and my nan kind of looked up and went, "Is that the Spice Girls?"
My sister would get on really well with your two boys, Liz, because my sister loves Wayne's World, even to the point that her and her friends dressed up as Wayne and Garth, and she loves just to quote the film randomly or whatever, so you'll be like, "Oh, I saw this girl and she was really pretty," and my sister will be like, "Yeah, if she was the president, she'd be Abraham Lincoln." So it's a fantastic film. It's a great film because it's really innocent. And what you were saying about Queen is that what's so great about them is all their songs are so different, but they're all hits in their own genres. You know, like Bohemian Rhapsody is nothing like you know, We Are the Champions and stuff, and is like, you know, like all the different songs, they are from completely different styles, but Queen seems to be able to top any genre they touch. You know, they were true masters of their craft. So
I heard a great anecdote about Freddie Mercury recently, actually. I can't remember who was saying it, but someone, it was on some documentary or something, and this guy said he's in the BBC kind of building and he's in the canteen and he looks across the table and Freddie Mercury's there with his head in his hands just crying, and he went up and he's like, "Freddie, man, are you all right?" And Freddie Mercury looks up and goes, "Yeah, it's just, we're so brilliant."
I actually know I'm really
Philip, sorry, I wonder if I can ask Philip. I was just going to say, I wonder if I can ask Philip a Christmas-related question.
Yeah, sure.
I used to do a lot of business in Germany, and I'm very, very fond of the country. And one of the things that I mean, again, it may be another false memory, I don't know, but I heard this from a few Germans, I think, that on Christmas Day, you eat a fish that the British, the English at least, wouldn't touch with a barge pole, carp. And it's something I know in the lakes around where I live in Bedford, the carp population has plummeted. And for about 10 years now, they've been blaming the East Europeans, because nobody else will, no British people will, you know, even with a gun to the head, they wouldn't eat carp. But it is a German thing, isn't it? Is it?
Yeah, it's a German tradition.
Would it be like in the Netherlands or?
I don't know in which other countries it is tradition, but it was definitely in Germany a tradition. But I think it's a Protestant thing. I don't know if the Catholics in Germany do it as well. But I would actually have to Google it myself to know what the origins are. I wouldn't be able to tell you.
So if it was a Protestant thing, then it was important that the fish tasted awful.
I would, to be honest, I would assume that there is a connection between the carp and it being a poor people's fish. I think there might be a connection. And to be honest, I love carp. Like when I was still, I stopped eating fish or meat when I was 16. But when you have a carp, not from a muddy pond, but from a clearer water, they're actually okay. When it's from a muddy pond, it tastes awful. But I'm sure, Mike.
So the best you can come up with is okay, Philip.
Well, can I say?
I was just saying. So Philip, the best you can say is okay. That is the ultimate compliment for a carp.
Can I say that if you're having a fish flown in from England to Germany, that's not a poor man's fish. Stephen?
No, but we actually had a buttered carp, and the buttered carp was actually quite nice because everything tastes better when it's buttered. I think we haven't heard the story from Goodfellow yet, and Stephen is raising his hand. So first Stephen, and then I want to hear the story from Goodfellow, and then I'm going to tell my story.
Forgive me, please. I'm just going to rejoin my wife. Is that okay?
Yes.
But Merry Christmas.
Well, it's fabulous to have you, Stephen.
Could you contact me after Christmas?
I will.
I
We will
too.
contact you after Christmas.
I owe you a
Thank
phone
you.
call.
And now, Merry Christmas to you all. Okay?
Merry Christmas,
Merry
Stephen.
Christmas, Stephen.
Bye-bye.
And Merry
Bye-bye,
Christmas
Stephen.
to your wife as well.
I'll pass it
Yeah.
on. Thank you.